Yeah, hi guys. We're looking at quest 40 now. Can I believe that? We were meant to go on a quest last year, but sadly, due to personal reasons and family, one of my family members passed away sadly, so we had to cancel that. So we're back on track, I think, with the quests. We've got quest 40 this time where we're heading through. So we're actually going from England and we're travelling through France, right through the trunk of France, right through into the northwest peninsula of Spain, and then we're going to go right down into Portugal and travel right down to the bottom, zigzagging through as we go, and then come right up the western coastline back and then back through all the way back to Blighty. So it's going to be an interesting trip along the way, so that's going to be interesting. I think we're covering somewhere in the region of about 7,000 miles. I think originally I said 5,200 miles. But realistically, it's going to be about 7,000. So, just to give you a quick sort of capsule, we're leaving on the 25th of March. It's going to take us a couple of weeks to get through, travelling wise. It's always very interesting when you go by car because the it's a totally different perspective. You can go to an airport, get on an aeroplane and fly across, or get on a ferry and take the car on there. But when you're doing full road via the Channel Tunnel, or as they say, Euro Tunnel these days, I think, it's quite surreal in many respects. But at the same time, it's just so fascinating to see all these different places on the way and see how people live and different areas, different feels, different vibes, which can be really, really good. So we're heading on this one. This is all to do with the Clark surname and the Muller surname as well, actually, in particular. So this trip's going to be quite interesting. On this one, we're going to focus more on the energy lines as opposed to different ancestral members, which I think is much more significant. So we've going through Eurotunnel, as I said. We'll be heading through. We're going to be going to the Palace of Gaudi at Astorga. Now that was built by the Templars in the 13th century. Original palace now converted into a museum, so that should be quite interesting. That'll be around about the 29th of March that we get there. And then we're going to go on to travel through that part of Spain. We're going to the Apostles' Point, and we're going to the main area of Lucas St. Alex. We're going to go down to the castle of which is a castle down in Shaves, which is a Templars residence from 1128. That should be quite fascinating as well. And for good measure, you couldn't travel to Portugal without going to Braga Cathedral. So that's got some very interesting points. It's quite interesting with Braga because in 409 CE, for those who are interested, there was an invading Germanic tribe known as the Barbarian Invasions. I often think regards to invasions and history and how we look at these things, because it's always happened, doesn't it? Countries have always invaded other countries. It's always been divide and conquer, or divide and fail, depending on how one views history. But the current climate of this particular world, this particular realm, has got everybody fighting for land and fighting along. It's not a new thing. We shouldn't be shocked by these things. This is the norm, isn't it? This is what the human race has always done. It's always divided and conquered, or as I say, divide and fail. So it's always done that and taken land and converted land and made areas their own pieces. So there's nothing new in what's happening in the world today. It's just a slightly different way of dealing with it, I guess. You haven't got Vikings arriving on ships and rape, pillaging and murder. Instead, you've got little drones flying through the sky, all automated, zapping down and blasting the hell out of the human race. So, it does make one wonder, doesn't it, where it's all heading. I often think that. No wonder any other intelligent life form away from this realm, no wonder it avoids this realm like the plague, because it probably looks inwards and thinks, Jesus, do we really want to get involved in that? Because it's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Anyway, we move on from Braga Cathedral and we go to various other places along the way. In particular, and it is in particular, we go to the Convent of Christ, the Convent, if I'm pronouncing it right, Convento de Cristo. And that's over in Tomar. Now, Tomar's been a place that I've always wanted to travel to for many a year. It's an amazing place, full of vibrant energy. The actual convent there was once owned by the Knights Templar. It took about 5 centuries to build. Allegedly, it holds one of the tablets of destiny, or at least information in regards to one of the pieces of the tablets of destiny. So I'm very keen to get there and get my research going. As you know, these trips are always a bit like the reason we do these trips is a lot of it is research for my books. You'll always find them online, most bookstores, most places, bookshops, blah, blah, blah. The latest book that's come out is Book of Secrets. Now that's available on the whole global platform. So that's very, very good. The new book project that I'm working on, which is what this part of Portugal is going to cover, which I need, that's why I'm travelling there, is to get my wonderful pictures and research and different details first hand. I don't want it second hand or third hand, I want it first hand. Is the new project's called Timeless. Now, Tomar in particular, in regards to Timeless, will have a very important part within the book about Tomar and how, because it's such an ancient place. Lots of interesting things there. So I'm looking forward to that. As we travel through, obviously, right the way down to the bottom, we're going to go to Porto. Obviously, most people have heard of Porto and Porto Cathedral. Completed in 1737 CE. So that's going to be quite interesting to see that. There's quite a few churches along the way as always, and a few little interesting things as well. We've got the Chapel of Skulls, which will be quite fascinating actually. So in this particular chapel that I'll talk about when we get there. There's also the Holy Spirit, over in Portugal, which is a chapel ruins from 5000 BCE. Can you imagine that? 5000 BCE. That's over 7,000 years ago. Considering our average lifetime is 80 years, that makes us quite pointless, doesn't it, really, when we look at it that way? Here we have an area, chapel ruins of 7,000 years ago. How fascinating. It's also known, that area there, that we'll talk about when we get there on the journey in. It's known as the Sky Gate, which is quite good. Of course, we're going to go to Cathedral Beach. Again, I'm going to talk about that more when we're actually on the journey, on the quest, as opposed to in the here and now. So we've got a whole journey ahead of us. Got a few weeks travelling, a few weeks going through, staying at a lot of places on the way to cut down on the length of driving, as it were. We've got some various abbeys along the way, but in total, I think when we worked it out for this quest coming up, amongst other things that stumble upon us on the way, we're going to 23 churches. We're going to 4 cathedrals, 1 abbey, two sacred stone sites, or stone circles, 11 places of interest, and 2 journeys on the old infamous Eurotunnel. It's so surreal on that Eurotunnel, as I say. When you go through it, it takes you a little while to adjust to realise you are actually in another country, because it's not like docking in on a ferry or arriving at an airport. You're just in your car, and the next thing you know, you're just driving onto another road. So it does take a few moments to get that realisation in, but it's always a pleasant journey, to be fair. So we've got, let's say, 7,500 miles plus ahead of us. All kicking off around about the 20th of March. I will be posting on platforms. My learned friend Janice, she'll be posting on all her platforms, social media as well. So follow us on the journey. I hope you can join us. I'm always keen to get your comments, positive and negative, or even constructive comments, really. I don't mind what they are, because it's always interesting to know how people think and how they view and how they see the quests that we do. As I say, we're on quest 40 now, so that's 40 journeys down the road. We've got another one coming up in October, one coming up in March next year, March 26. So we're back on track with these momentarily. Join us if you can. It'd be lovely. It'd be great to see you. Great to hear from you as well.